Joining me now, CNBC Washington correspondent Megan Cassella, and Vaughn Hillyard is back with me. He decided to stick around. Thanks, Vaughn, and thank you, Megan. What is in this deal for the EU? Why take it?
That's a key question, and it's not a lot that's in there for the EU, and we've actually heard member states complaining about that today, complaining about their commission president for making this deal. One thing they do get, 15% tariffs, very substantial, but better than it could have been.
Right.
We've heard President Trump threatening 20% tariffs. He's talked about 30% tariffs. It's 15% almost entirely across the board, so that's good for most products and especially good for things like cars, pharmaceuticals, and semiconductors that also could have seen much steeper tariffs. But it is a lot higher than it once was. They are getting a little bit of certainty, and that's the main reason to make the deal.
So European officials today, they did acknowledge they don't really have the authority to make good on this $600 billion investment. Does that take a little bit of teeth out of this agreement? What do you make of that? Absolutely.
They did acknowledge that. They sort of said it's all going to be private investment. There's no public incentives. They're not doing anything to make sure they follow through on those commitments. Now, a White House administration official did tell reporters and confirmed to me that the president reserves the right to increase that tariff back up if they don't follow through. That's for the EU or for any other country. So that takes some of the certainty out of it. And it just shows you that they're not putting anything in writing here. And it shows you just how shaky this framework is.
And Vaughn, to that point, you know, this is just a framework of an agreement. Has the White House said any more details on how they plan to assess or enforce parts of this deal?
Right. We're still waiting for the details from the UK deal, from the Japan deal, and I'm not sure exactly when we're going to actually get that on detailed paper form here. But I think to Megan's point here, we're dealing with an administration that has shown a willingness to effectively cut through previous trade deals, right? The USMCA trade agreement, and say, we don't really care when this was supposed to be up. We're going to go forward with higher tariffs regardless. And I think that's where the head of the EU in her comments this weekend were notable. Number one, she said that it brings stability and it is practical. And 3.5 years more that the EU and the 27 member nations are going to have to work with this administration. It may very well be in their interest to have some sort of a standard to know that they can work off of for at least that period of time.
And the administration has apparently shown a willingness to extend its deadlines for certain trade deals. Megan, I want to ask you, a 15% tariff on goods from Europe, what will that mean for consumers here in the U.S.?
Higher prices on a number of things. You mentioned before the EU is our largest trading partner by far, I would say. So I was just looking at the biggest things we take in from Europe. It's pharmaceuticals, medicine, cars, it's alcohol. Think about your French wine or your Italian wine. It's also sparkling water, luxury goods, some precious metals, some high-end art. And then the single biggest company that imports the most from Europe is IKEA. So think about your IKEA furniture. Everything, you know, from low-end to high-end gets a little bit more expensive.
That's right. Moving into a college dorm will get much more pricey. Vaughn, switching gears to the talks underway in Stockholm today, what do we know? I understand they wrapped up for the day. What do we expect to happen next?
We expect there to be a day 2 of talks. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has already suggested that the August 12th deadline that the U.S. had stated that they had with China to not escalate those steep high tariffs again could very well be delayed if these conversations in Stockholm are fruitful. We are so far away from a trade deal that of a magnitude I think that this administration is looking for here. But at least Jamieson Greer, the U.S. trade representative, and him, they have left that day 1 of meetings here. And I think, though, it is a question here of just how long, what do they want to actually see? Because in terms of concrete deals, I think that with China specifically, it is going to take a lot, and yet they continue to push these tariffs down the road.
And Vaughn, in addition to the trade deadlines that we were talking about, the White House and President Trump made news on another deadline today when he was asked about the war in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin, he said his deadline that he had extended to Putin might be changing or could change based on his disappointment, as he referred to it. What else did he say?
Right. This actually happened after, I think, 2 notable events. One, there were 300 drones launched from Russia into Ukraine overnight. And the second part of this, going back to the trade conversation with the EU has been putting pressure on the Trump administration to continue to provide aid and commitment to Ukraine long term. And look where we find ourselves. The president of the United States suggesting that Russia doesn't have the 50-day deadline to make moves toward a ceasefire and end of this war like they did. That would have been the beginning of September. But instead, it's a much shorter timeline. At least that's what the White House is saying. Take a listen.
Yeah. I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
Now, we know there's bipartisan support in the Senate to push forward a bill for the president to sign. The president says he could do this unilaterally if he wanted, but essentially it would be secondary tariffs. 100% tariffs is what the president had suggested 2 weeks ago. Over in the Senate, they want to do it 500% secondary tariff on Russian oil and gas that is going to particularly China and India here. And so what does the president actually move? He's threatened Russia for a couple months now, but today here seemingly at least drawing his own timeline a little shorter.
That's right. A lot of threats. You know, Megyn, big picture of this for us when it comes to tariffs. There have been so many shifting deadlines here. The markets, though, they're still shrugging it off. They're playing it cool.
Surprisingly, they are. And that's in spite of the different threats that we've seen him follow through on now. Not only the Russian secondary tariffs, but the latest one being the global baseline tariff of 15 or 20%, doubling that from the 10% that he already put in place, which comes on top of anything that was already in place even before he took office. So everything gets a little bit more expensive, and yet markets seem to think this is better than what they thought it could be. And I think at this point, they're just looking for any degree of certainty that we can all sort of move on. I'm skeptical. I think that even once he strikes deals with all of these countries, he might go back on them. There might be new things to negotiate. But they just like the idea that maybe we're towards the end of the road on tariffs. And so for now, they think it's okay.
Megyn, Cassella, Vaughn, Hillyard, thank you both.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.